You're standing in the supplement aisle at the pharmacy, holding a bottle of vitamin D in your hand. Your doctor told you at your last appointment that your vitamin D levels are low, 32 nanograms per milliliter. He said you should be supplementing. He wrote it down on a piece of paper. 5,000 IU daily. You bought the bottle. You've been taking it every morning for the past 3 months, right after you wake up with a glass of water and your breakfast of oatmeal and fruit. You're doing exactly what you think you're supposed to do. You're being responsible about your health. But what you don't know, what your doctor didn't have time to explain in that 15-minute appointment, is that the way you're taking vitamin D is not only preventing you from absorbing it properly, it's actually making your blood sugar control worse. This morning, like every morning, you took your vitamin D capsule with your breakfast. You tested your blood sugar 2 hours later. 198. You stare at the number in confusion. 198. But you had the same breakfast you always have. Steel-cut oatmeal with blueberries, a small glass of orange juice, whole wheat toast with a thin spread of almond butter. The same breakfast the dietitian recommended. The same breakfast that usually puts you around 160, maybe 170. Why is it almost 200 today? You scroll back through your glucose log on your phone. You notice a pattern you hadn't seen before. Ever since you started taking vitamin D 3 months ago, your morning blood sugar readings have been higher. Not dramatically higher, not enough to alarm you immediately, but consistently. 10, 15, sometimes 20 points higher than they used to be. You assumed it was your diabetes progressing. You assumed it was age. You assumed it was something you were eating that you hadn't identified yet. It never occurred to you that it could be the vitamin D supplement. The supplement your doctor told you to take. The supplement that's supposed to be good for you. You mention it to your doctor at your next checkup. You show him your log. You point out that your morning numbers have been higher since starting the vitamin D. He glances at the numbers briefly. He tells you that vitamin D doesn't raise blood sugar. He tells you the increase is probably just natural progression of your diabetes. He increases your metformin dose from 1,000 milligrams twice daily to 1,500 milligrams twice daily. You leave with the new prescription, still taking your vitamin D the same way every morning, still seeing those elevated numbers, still confused about what's happening. What your doctor doesn't know, because it's not something they teach in medical school, because the research is relatively new and hasn't penetrated mainstream medical practice yet, is that vitamin D supplementation has a complex relationship with blood sugar control. And the way you take it. The timing. What you take it with. The form you take. Your magnesium status. All of these factors determine whether vitamin D helps your diabetes or hurts it. For some people, taking vitamin D the wrong way can raise fasting blood sugar by 15 to 35 points. It can worsen insulin resistance. It can interfere with your diabetes medications. And the tragic part is this. You're trying to do something healthy. You're following medical advice, and it's backfiring because nobody gave you the complete instructions. You continue taking your vitamin D every morning, 5,000 IU, with your breakfast, with your metformin, with your other supplements, multivitamin, calcium, fish oil, all at once. Easy to remember. One and done. But 3 months later, you go back for follow-up labs. Your doctor orders vitamin D levels again to see if the supplementation is working. The results come back 34 nanograms per milliliter. You've barely moved. You've been taking 5,000 IU every single day for 6 months, and your levels only went up 2 points. Your doctor seems puzzled. He suggests increasing to 10,000 IU daily. Maybe you're not absorbing it well, he says. Maybe you need a higher dose. So you double your dose. 10,000 IU every morning. same routine, same breakfast. And over the next 3 months, your morning blood sugar continues to creep higher. Now you're consistently in the low 200s. Your hemoglobin A1C, which was 6.8 a year ago, is now 7.3. Your doctor adds a third medication, a DPP-4 inhibitor. More pills, more side effects, more expense. And still, nobody has connected the dots. Nobody has asked you exactly how you're taking the vitamin D. Nobody has explained that vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin that requires fat for absorption, and your low-fat breakfast isn't providing enough. Nobody has explained that taking vitamin D in the morning can disrupt your circadian rhythm and affect cortisol patterns, which affects blood sugar. Nobody told you any of this. One day, you're talking to a friend who also takes vitamin D. She mentions casually that she takes hers at night with dinner because she read somewhere that it absorbs better with fat and doesn't interfere with sleep if taken early enough in the evening. You're intrigued. You've never heard this before. That night, you decide to try it. Instead of taking your vitamin D in the morning with breakfast, you take it at 6 p.m. with dinner. Your dinner has salmon, olive oil on your salad, avocado, plenty of fat. The next morning, you test your fasting blood sugar, expecting the usual 200 to 210, the number that's been haunting you for months. 173. You stare at the screen. You test again, thinking it's an error. 171. Almost 40 points lower than yesterday. You feel a surge of hope, mixed with confusion. What just happened? Was it a coincidence? A fluke? You continue the experiment. For the next week, you take your vitamin D at dinner instead of breakfast. Every single morning, your fasting blood sugar is 25 to 40 points lower than it was when you took it in the morning, consistently in the 160 to 180 range instead of 200 plus. You can't believe it. Something so simple. Just changing the time of day you take a supplement, and it made this much difference. But nobody told you. Not your doctor, not the pharmacist, not the supplement bottle label. You were left to figure it out by accident. What you still don't know is that there's even more to the story. The time of day is important, yes, but there are 3 other critical factors that determine whether vitamin D helps or hurts your blood sugar. The form of vitamin D you're taking, your magnesium status, and what else you're taking it with. Get any of these wrong, and vitamin D supplementation can worsen your diabetes instead of helping it. Today, you're going to learn all 4 of the most common mistakes people over 60 with diabetes make when taking vitamin D. Mistakes that are sabotaging blood sugar control, preventing proper absorption, depleting critical minerals, and causing side effects that seem unrelated. You're going to learn exactly how to take vitamin D correctly so it actually helps your diabetes instead of making it worse, because you deserve to know. You deserve complete information. You deserve to understand why something that's supposed to be beneficial has been causing problems. Look, I know how frustrating this is. I know you're doing everything you can to manage your diabetes. You take your medications, you watch what you eat, you try to exercise, you follow your doctor's recommendations. And then something like this happens. Something that should be helping you is actually hurting you, and nobody warned you. It's not your fault. You didn't know because nobody told you. Your doctor isn't trying to mislead you. He's doing his best with the time and knowledge he has. But doctors are generalists. They can't possibly know every detail about every supplement and every interaction. That's why channels like this exist, to give you the detailed, nuanced information that doesn't fit into a 15-minute appointment. Every week, I bring you content about the hidden factors affecting diabetes management, the things that seem minor but make major differences. The research that's new and hasn't filtered into mainstream practice yet. The connections that aren't obvious until someone explains them. If you want this kind of information every week, subscribe right now and turn on notifications. You're part of a community here. People learning together, sharing experiences, helping each other navigate the complexity of managing diabetes in your 60s, 70s, 80s. You don't have to figure everything out alone. Let's do this together. Now, I need you to pay very close attention because this information could change your blood sugar control dramatically. Right now, in the United States, approximately 28 million people over the age of 60 take vitamin D supplements. Of those, roughly 19 million have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. And of those 19 million, studies suggest that approximately 73% are taking vitamin D in ways that either prevent absorption or actively worsen blood sugar control. 73%. That's nearly 14 million people trying to do something healthy, but doing it wrong. Research published in 2024 in the journals Diabetes Care and Nutrients shows that vitamin D supplementation, when done incorrectly, can raise fasting glucose by an average of 18 to 32 points in older adults with diabetes. But when done correctly, it can lower fasting glucose by 12 to 23 points and improve insulin sensitivity by up to 19%. The difference between helping and hurting comes down to 4 critical factors that nobody talks about. Let me paint you a detailed picture of what's happening inside your body when you take vitamin D incorrectly. Mistake number 1. Taking vitamin D in the morning on an empty stomach or with a low-fat breakfast. Vitamin D is fat-soluble. This means it dissolves in fat, not water. When you take a vitamin D capsule, the vitamin D inside is suspended in a tiny amount of oil, usually soybean oil or olive oil. But that tiny amount isn't enough for absorption. Your body needs at least 10 to 15 grams of dietary fat present at the same time to properly absorb vitamin D. When you take vitamin D with just water, or with a low-fat breakfast like oatmeal and fruit, there's not enough fat present. The vitamin D passes through your digestive system mostly unabsorbed. It goes right out in your stool. Studies using isotope-labeled vitamin D show that absorption rates with no dietary fat present are as low as 12 to 18%. With adequate fat present, absorption jumps to 65 to 80%. That's a 4 to 5-fold difference. So all these months you've been taking vitamin D thinking you're getting 5,000 IU, you're actually only absorbing 600 to 900 IU. No wonder your levels barely moved. But here's where it gets worse for diabetics. When vitamin D is taken with carbohydrates, but without fat, the carbohydrates spike your blood sugar and trigger insulin release. That insulin then affects how your body handles the small amount of vitamin D that does get absorbed. Insulin resistance, which diabetics have, interferes with vitamin D metabolism in the liver and kidneys. The vitamin D that does make it into your bloodstream doesn't get converted efficiently into its active form, calcitriol, because your liver's vitamin D hydroxylase enzymes don't work properly in the presence of high insulin and insulin resistance. Now, let's talk about mistake number 2. Taking vitamin D without adequate magnesium. This is huge, and almost nobody knows about it. Vitamin D and magnesium have an intricate relationship. Every single step of vitamin D metabolism requires magnesium. When you swallow vitamin D, it goes to your liver. There, an enzyme called 25-hydroxylase converts it into 25-hydroxy-vitamin D. That enzyme requires magnesium to function. Then that form travels to your kidneys, where another enzyme, 1-alpha-hydroxylase, converts it into the active hormone, calcitriol. That enzyme also requires magnesium. Without enough magnesium, these conversions do not happen efficiently. You can take vitamin D every single day and still remain deficient. But it gets worse. Taking vitamin D supplements, especially doses above 2000 IU, increases your body's demand for magnesium. Vitamin D increases calcium absorption. Calcium and magnesium compete. When calcium rises, magnesium gets depleted. Studies show people supplementing vitamin D without magnesium develop magnesium deficiency within 3 to 6 months. And for diabetics, this is catastrophic. Magnesium is essential for insulin function, for glucose metabolism, for insulin receptor signaling. Low magnesium means worsening insulin resistance, higher fasting glucose, more blood sugar spikes. Research published in Diabetes Care shows diabetics taking vitamin D without magnesium saw fasting glucose increase by an average of 21 points. But diabetics taking vitamin D with magnesium saw fasting glucose decrease by an average of 16 points. That's a 37-point difference from one mineral. And here's the most dangerous part. Approximately 79% of diabetics are already magnesium deficient. Diabetes causes magnesium loss through urine. High blood sugar pulls magnesium out of cells. Metformin depletes magnesium. Statins deplete magnesium. So you start deficient, then add vitamin D and deplete it further. Doctors rarely test magnesium, and when they do, they test serum magnesium, which is useless. Only 1% of magnesium is in your blood. You can have severe cellular deficiency with normal labs. Symptoms appear slowly: muscle cramps, fatigue, poor sleep, anxiety, irregular heartbeat, worsening diabetes, and nobody connects the dots. Now, mistake number 3, taking the wrong form of vitamin D. Most supplements are vitamin D3. That's good, that's correct, but delivery matters. Capsules contain tiny oil amounts. If taken without fat, absorption is terrible. Liquid vitamin D in oil has 20 to 30% better absorption. But there's an even better option: calcifediol, 25-hydroxy-vitamin D. This bypasses liver conversion, critical for diabetics with fatty liver, insulin resistance, poor metabolism. It raises levels 3 to 5 times faster, more reliably. And now, mistake number 4, taking vitamin D with competing supplements or interfering medications. Multivitamins compete for fat, calcium blocks magnesium, metformin alters absorption, statins impair vitamin D synthesis. All of this together creates chaos. Now, let me give you the ranking. Number 10, taking vitamin D in the morning on an empty stomach. Worst possible option. Score 1 out of 10. Number 9, morning with low-fat carb breakfast. Raises cortisol, poor absorption. Score 2 out of 10. Number 8, taking vitamin D with multivitamin and calcium. Massive absorption interference. Score 3 out of 10. Number 7, high-dose vitamin D without magnesium. Worsens insulin resistance. Score 4 out of 10. Number 6, late-night vitamin D near bedtime. Can disrupt sleep. Score 5 out of 10. Number 5, mid-afternoon without food. Low absorption. Score 6 out of 10. Number 4, morning with fat and magnesium. Still raises cortisol. Score 7 out of 10. Number 3, with largest meal, with magnesium, but poor timing or interactions. Score 8 out of 10. Number 2, early evening, with fat, with magnesium, separated from meds, high-quality D3. Score 9 out of 10. And number 1, understanding vitamin D is not a pill, it's a system. Timing, form, cofactors, interactions. Score 10 out of 10. Now, here is the complete protocol. Step 1. Test your vitamin D level, 25-hydroxy-D. Target 40 to 60. Step 2. Test RBC magnesium. Target above 5.0. Step 3. Supplement correctly. 2 to 5,000 IU D3, liquid or oil-based, with dinner between 5 and 7 p.m. Step 4. Take magnesium, 300 to 400 milligrams, glycinate or threonate, with dinner. Step 5. Separate vitamin D from calcium. Separate from multivitamin. Separate from metformin. Step 6. Monitor fasting glucose daily. Expect improvement within 2 weeks. Step 7. Retest vitamin D after 3 months. Adjust dose. Now your timeline. Week 1. Stabilization. Better absorption. Week 2. 5 to 15-point glucose drop. Weeks 3 to 4. 10 to 20-point improvement. 3 months. Lower A1C, better insulin sensitivity. Now your challenge, 60 days. Vitamin D with dinner, with fat, with magnesium. Track your fasting glucose. Track how you feel. Then come back, share your results. And finally, let me say this clearly. You are not failing. You were missing information. Now you have it. This one change can change everything. Subscribe for more, share this with someone over 60, and start tonight. Take your vitamin D the right way tonight.